what we're going to do today, let's try out some Blast Baruch. So now that we know that Afflictions is applying Blast properly, you know, Baruch does a lot of ragdoll stuff. So let's have a bit of fun with this. So we've got Blast on here, we've got plenty of status chance, we're always going to inflict Blast with this. We can also slam, light slam, and get big AoE still because Baruch's slam hasn't been nerfed. Let's try Discipline's Merit instead. Pity we couldn't fit Elementalist in, but we need too much of this here. So we want a crit chance. So now Blast Afflictions, we're going to just absolutely annihilate everything now that Blast are applying to Afflictions. So we've got the dog, we've got the status chance, bloody blah. There's the dog. What one's this? This is the dog we want. Is it? Yeah, this is the dog we want. Got any mecha mods we could maybe fit in here? Mecha Pulse, we could maybe put this in here. Yeah, we could put that in there instead, maybe. Let's put in Molt-Augmented as well. Now, this is definitely going to be really, really strong. What could we put in the aura? Fuck it, let's put that in too. See how we get on with this. Now, I reckon this is going to be crazy. In case we need some sort of backup help, we'll take that. Although we'll never need to use anything but the Desert Wind. Yeah, but yeah, this is going to go absolutely ham. I know this Afflictions is going to go crazy. Shit rewards, I don't even care about these. I'm not doing that calendar. Now I've got so many shards and shit that I don't really do much of the weeklies now. So let's go into this survival here, and I bet you Baruch just absolutely destroys everything with this Affliction setup. I used to always go Influence Baruch. I used to go level cap with Baruch and Influence because it's a very easy time. But I think that Blast might be the way to go now because, you know, he ragdolls enemies so easily, and we're going to get 10 stacks of Blast just detonating constantly all the time. Maybe Electric Blast would be the way to go, I don't know, but we'll see. I think the only reason people are put off Baruch is his restraint meter. But once you see that it's so easy to just maintain everything with Baruch, you realise how good he actually is. Now, once we get our Paris, we'll get our bow clicked, and then we'll get crazy status chance of planting the dog. Hardest part of this build is just getting that. Now we've got that, now we put some of these dudes to sleep. To get our restraint down a little bit, and look at that already, status chance from the dog. Now we're going to this, and now it's Blast Over Wounds, that lifted status effect, just applying to everybody, which is wild damage. Already, you know, look at the levels of damage we're doing. As soon as they're lifted, 10 stacks of Blast. They die before they're even lifted though, look at that. Now we've got Viral on all these enemies too. Just continuously cast their 2 and 3 now and then. You know, and there's not even a need to heavy attack with Baruch because you just do so much ludicrous damage. There's no need to heavy attack. And look, the slam radius of his light slam hasn't been nerfed. And look, we can apply Blast that way too. You know, look at that damage, just from a light slam. 10 stacks of Blast, everybody's dead. So you could actually just play this as a light slam build because the size of the slam radius is not nerfed at all, and it's just as strong as some heavy slam builds. But really, the slide attack's where it's at with Baruch. This slide attack, you know, I'll just lift this whole room of people and they're all dead. They die before, they die before even the Blast applies, so I think this would shine most at level cap, where the Blasts will tick a little bit at least. Oh, look, we've got a tiny shield and we don't need to worry about anything because nothing can damage us. They're all dead before they get the chance to damage us, to be fair. Blast procs are just going crazy. Melee influence is probably still going to be king for AoE. It's just a bit different, is it, to use a bit of blast now and then. And we're at almost 12 combo. And we can just keep slide attacking and wiping everything out. With, nothing's going to survive this. All the way up to level cap, everything's going to die. And survivability is not an issue at all. We can get overguard as well if we want by spamming an epitaph now and then. If we lift one guy, I want to see the damage that lift will do to the rest. And look at that 10 blast procs and everybody. Look at that, boom. Ridiculous damage. Now if we do light attacks, we can also proc blast in the last attack. It lifts them, see? And look at our restraint, we can just maintain it very easily. And now, even when you do, level cap with Baruch, you can easily apply the restraint to all the enemies in a very easy area because you just jump in a big group and then, look at that, Acolyte destroyed it effortlessly. Look at that, we lifted them and look at the blast procs. Now if we apply all these status effects and then we'll lift them, all that status effects will apply afflictions too. Which is just brutal. Now we could take a hound that would prime up the whole room and then every time we lifted people, all that status effects would spread too, which is going to be ludicrous. I think we'll go try that. So we'll get 10 blast procs applying instantly and we'll get all the procs of the hound applying to enemies. That blast procs ticking there, see them? So we'll lift one person with blast. And massive AoE, look at that.
They aren't from the neural century. Destroy them. They are drawn from your life support.
Thought I had to take a phone call there. If anybody's watching at this point, probably not because I get no viewers. But it's all good as long as a bit of knowledge gets passed on, and or it can help somebody in some way. I'm doing my job and I'm happy about that. And if you are viewing, you got any questions, ask away. If there's anything I can help with, if there's anything I can give you in game, I'll try my best to get you and help you out. That slam on a light attack is just crazy. Look at this. They're all lifted and all die from blast. Look at that. Just crazy damage. A little tiny light slam like that. So if we got influence on this too and blast, that would go crazy. Or blast proc in the whole room with a light slam. Baruch is busted. Absolutely busted. He needs a lot more love than he gets. Look at that. 10 stacks of blast instantly, every time. Now, maybe we could do this with heat as well, and it might be really good. And 10 stacks of heat, probably, that would be pretty good. We'll try out a few different Baruchs with afflictions and see how we get on. It's just so wild, that damage numbers. Doesn't look it sometimes with the procs, but then you realise that for force proc and blast, every slam, the blast can't even tick, they're dying before they even get the chance to tick the damage. And our survivability is just insane. Everything dies before we get the chance to even be hit. But then we can shield gate that back nice and easily too. 10 stacks of vital, 10 stacks of blast. Ludicrous damage. So we'll jump out of here and we'll go try maybe a pure heat afflictions Baruch. Or a heat magnetic maybe. Heat magnetic could be good. Chew through everything with that really. We could go toxin. Yeah, we could go toxin, toxin magnetic. Then do toxin corrosive heat damage to the whole room. That could be interesting. We'll go try that. But yeah, Baruch's one of my favourite frames for sure. Once you understand how to play him, it's hard to put him down. Damage speaks for itself, look at it. No, one light attack seems to just wipe out the whole room. They don't have a chance to even survive. The dog is pointless to even be here because the amount of damage we do off the rip, there's no point in the dog being here for the mecha set. So I do think a hound would be better because we'll get passive overguard and the hound will put more status effects in the room for us to proc afflictions on. So I think that's a way to go. So if we go try this out now, maybe. So if we go to Baruch, we'll drop the mecha set because we don't need this right now. So we'll take off that, and then we could put in something like, I don't know, something that's consistently good. Put in the Bass Assist. What we'll give the Bass Assist. We'll drop Deadhead. We'll put in. No, we've got Dexterity on something else. So we'll just take something that's good in all situations. Take our Brat and Vandal, Trusty. Do this for Overguard. So our Hound will proc Overguard with this. Now we'll take our Hound here. Now we'll get Overguard and we'll get lots of stats effects. And now we could proc Afflictions. So if we could go pure heat, or in my opinion, I think our best option would be to go. We could go corrosive by putting that there, and then we could go magnetic might as well. Now we'll do toxin, magnetic, corrosive, 10 stacks instantly. So, no, where is it? Continuity. Again, we don't kind of want, with Baruch, we kind of don't want to have duration though, because we want to have this. 7 seconds isn't long, really, I suppose. Yeah, fuck it, we'll go this way. Still got decent strength. 497% starts chance is insane. Just insane. We drop the mechas. Now we could put in more. Starts with a weapon. We could put in that there, or we could maybe go. Refresh Spite. We could go grow in power. We could go discipline. We could do that to just viral proc the whole room, but we don't need that levels of damage. Already steel, or probably steel charged for passive 60%. I think we'll go ready steel. We'll drop this. And we'll get in precision intensify now. So we've got our strength back now. So now we've got toxin, corrosive, electric, proc, and energy regen from the hound. We've got toxin, corrosive, afflictions with magnetic as well. So we'll see how we get on with that. I don't think we'll have any issues. I think we'll just wipe through everything effortlessly as usual. But it's a bit boring, is it? Toxin, corrosive. It might be more fun to go. Say we went shock trooper Baruch with heat on the fists and electric to influence proc the whole room. That might be an interesting way to do it. You know, if we put toxin on the weapon and then corrosive, we could do toxin, corrosive, magnetic influence around the whole room. That could be pretty crazy. Outsource our viral from the hound. I might try that in a minute just for a bit of fun. And we've got our DR up, our damage reduction.
I'm sending auxiliary life support.
Get this on the go till we get our Nourish cast too. Now the hound will be giving us Overguard as well. Now we can cast our Nourish, now we can cast our 2, and then we'll get the ball rolling. Look at the damage the hound does too, it's just preposterous levels of damage. And look at our restraint already. So now we can go into here, now we can start proccing afflictions. And the fact that hound's doing this to the whole room, we're affliction procking the whole room with all that stats effects. And the hound as well. Which is just ludicrous. We're getting toxin, corrosive, getting magnetic. I'm not even fully stacked yet, and look at our damage. Toxin, viral, corrosive, magnetic. The only thing we're missing is heat. Fuck, we couldn't go electric because I just remembered Shock Trooper doesn't apply to Exalted, which is very annoying. We could go gas, electric, that could be interesting. And look, we've got Overguard gain possibilities too. But you know, if we got influence, reactive storm's going to proc all the elements in the whole room anyway. We could probably go Influence Blast. I think that might be the best way to go with Brute for the absolute maximum AoE. But because the damage is just off the scale with this guy. But now if we proc Afflictions on the slams with our light, look at that. 10 stacks instantly. I have Toxin, Corrosive.
Life support incoming.
We die before it even ticks, though, that's the thing. It's just so much damage. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of damage in every jump. Now we could go like that, but the light slam seems to actually ridiculously be better over the heavy slam because the radius isn't nerfed. Can't even proc Afflictions in these guys because they just die before we even land in them. Oh, we've got Slam in the heavy as well anyway, so we're going to force proc that too. Talk about Corrosive. There's one bonus that we can force proc Blast on that. Look at that. 5 million. Force proc Blast. Blast proc 15 million. Look at that. One little slam and Affliction blew up the whole place. Well, I mean, it's so strong that we can't actually see how much we're proccing through Afflictions because they die before it even ticks. But it's level cap worthy. We don't even have seismic wave built in.
Keep up the good work. When needed, extraction is ready.
Yeah, look at that text. Yes, ludicrous damage. Now, we're Toxin, Corrosive, Magnetic on all these lifted hits. And an Overguard in the hand, it's just a fantastic combo of Afflictions. Nothing can survive this, all at level cap. Just busted levels of damage. Toxin, Corrosive, Viral, Magnetic, and you're not going to go wrong ever. One thing, I wish we could fit in Heat. If we could fit in Heat, I'd be happier. But the Toxin, Corrosive is really nice. From just one mod. And then look at our light attack slam. Massive AoE because the light attack's not been nerfed in its slam radius. Just mental damage. Without any investment in slam, look at what you can do. Just look at that all around the room. Everything's being nuked. No, we'll go try some electric. Maybe electric magnetic. Electric blast magnetic, maybe. Because reactive storm's going to cater to what they're weak to, so as long as we've got electric on the build, we're going to proc all the other elements we want to proc. I think we just want to force proc electric and blast on an influence build, and forget about the Afflictions, and then watch the blast go around the whole room on top of the electric, and then we'll force proc whatever they're weak to, along with reactive storm. So if we've got electric blast, that'll be guaranteed. But then, you know, if it's corpus, we'll get guaranteed toxin. If it's Grenier, we'll get guaranteed corrosive. And if it's, you know, infested, we'll get guaranteed viral. We don't really care about that because we've got viral already from our nourish. Pity that Shock Trooper wouldn't apply to Exalted, or I would be coming up with a lot more ingenious ways. I'd be going heat electric for sure. Influence heat electric if I could. But because Shock Trooper won't apply that, I'm not doing it. So now we can drop our duration. We don't need that. Baruch definitely doesn't need that. We can get that in there. Now we could put in we could put in that for heat stats effects to apply twice, but we don't need that because we're doing enough damage. If we could fit an Umbral Intensify, that would be great. So what we could fit in instead is Reactive Storm. Now we've got room for Umbral Intensify. Now we've got the most strength. Oh no, we don't, because we've got that there. So now we've got. So we only need strengths in our. We need Blind Rage. That's what we need. Blind Rage in there. Now we've got the best sort of setup we can have. Insane Strength, Precision Intensify. So our status chance on this is base 722%. Then we've got Molten Minute as well. Do we really need that? I don't know. We could put in, I think what we'll do in is put in Arcane Strike and the other melee mod, what is it, Fury? That'll be our base damage for our influence. And then we can drop base damage here. And now we could put in Condition Overload, because that'll be multiplicative. Now we can drop this. We can go influence, a good old influence. We've got influence. We've got everything we need here. Now we could go electric magnetic. That'd probably be the best way. We don't need critical damage because we've already got crazy critical damage. Or we could go pure slam. We could go. See, the thing is, we kind of want to have blast as well, do we? So if we swap this about. That there. Now we could go blast. Vicious Frost. Heat. So now we've got slightly more though. So it's a nightmare this. So we've got a low leveled heat or cold mod. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we've got slightly more electric over that. So now we'll get a lot of influence procs. So we'll give this a go. We'll see what we got on with that. Outsourcing base damage from this. Condition Overload is more of a multiplicative damage boost on direct hits, I believe. And now we're going to cook the whole room. You know, Reactive Storm is going to give us influence with, you know, blast electric force procs. And then we're also going to get toxin, we're going to get corrosive, we're going to get extra vital, we're going to get extra heat when we need it. It's going to be pretty busted. So we'll give this a go. We might just drop the blast though, because I don't know how much we actually need it. Because the damage from influence alone is level cap worthy. This is a very easy build to take to level cap. So let's go into the survival here. See how often we proc toxin along with our electric. And you know, if we were to put continuity on Brook, that would mean anytime he procs toxin, he would be procking corrosive as well, which would be quite nice, I suppose. We'll test out. We'll try this here, then we'll swap a mod out for continuity and see how often we can independently apply corrosive and toxin to our electric blast setup here. We'll get these dudes asleep, start getting our meter down. Kind of once you got this about quarter of the way down, that's you golden for the rest of the mission. You're going to be able to maintain his 4. So now we're getting electric blast already around the whole room. Look at that. We're getting crazy electric blast procs already. We're getting magnetic procs, we're getting toxin procs. And it's kind of a ridiculous level of damage. It's kind of overkill. Now, Afflictions was nice, but you definitely get better AoE with Baruch on Influence. Just an absolutely busted frame. We don't need the blast because, like I said earlier, the electric only Baruch can go level cap with very, very little issues. Actually, no issues at all. There's no issues with Baruch going to level cap with just pure influence. The blast in it's just even funnier though. Even more procs of blast. If we wanted to, we could go roar, but I think Baruch's better to have the viral, force proc viral in the whole room as well.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more.
I think this blast's almost redundant because the electric damage is just so strong. We don't really need the blast as well. They're dying at the electric before the blast can really proc, I think. It would maybe shine better in higher levels though. Where we get actually they've got enough health to let it tick a bit. At this point they're just dying so effortlessly. We'll see what our status chance is in a second. So, I don't know if I'm going to stick with the Afflictions or just stay loyal to the Influence. And our Restraint, look at it, we're completely managing it completely fine. Once you get the ball rolling, 7.6 million is just disgusting. It's level cap worthy damage. So Electric Magnetic shaves through the way for Baruch to go when I went to level cap because you know it's going to get through that overguard easily, then the Influence is just going to destroy everything. The blast here does seem a bit redundant. Everything's dying to electric before the blast procs, really. Hard tell. We'll have a look in the simulacrum against tougher targets.
Another life support capsule is now available.
Just ludicrous. One tap. Everything's one tapped. Everything dies with one little light hit. He's kind of unrivaled for damage, but he's definitely the strongest. Strongest, probably, influence setup on an Exalted. I don't know, maybe Excalibur is better. People really don't realise how good Excalibur is because they think he's got bad crit chance on his Exalted, which is true, but Excalibur does a ridiculous amount of damage, especially with Wrathful Advance or Nourish put onto that Exalted, and it's an easy level cap frame. Now if we go Slam with Influence, look at that AoE. Because we don't have the nerfed AoE with light slams, Baruch can really take advantage of slamming with a light slam because you get big AoE. Look at that. And you're proc and Influence every slam. You know, we're going to proc Influence on every light slam and every heavy slam, but you get drastically reduced AoE on the heavy slam, and look at that tick already from a light slam on him. Just absolutely disgusting. There's no need for him to be this strong. Light slam again, just light slam, big AoE, light slam. No investment in slam build here at all. This is no investment, no slam mods, nothing to boost slam damage. And look at the AoE and look at the, you know, we've got a force blast on slam, and we've got electric. Just an absolutely busted frame. The AoE is unreal with Baruch. You know, you can kind of run about and gun and shoot as well if you want with Baruch at the same time as, you know, just punching. I think we should take Baruch into disruption and see how we get on before he starts to that fall off damage wise against Demolist, which will probably be non-existent. And look at that. The massive AoE on the slam from that light attack.
Operator, Ordis wonders, what are you thinking about?
So then we'll drop the blast because we don't need it and we can force proc it if we want on heavy slams. We'll get our attack speed back in. Dare I say we might want Elementalist. Um, What could we go? What could we go? Could go pressure point. Condition overload. I don't know. Do we need it? We've got our base damage outsourcing Baruch's arcane. I think our best bet here would probably be Elementalist to really bolster up our electric dots and all the other. You know, when he's proccing heat, he talks in magnetic. I think that's going to be our best bet. And you know, we can do heavy attacks faster. So let's give this a go. I think we're going to absolutely melt anything we come against. We take him into like a disruption. I'm sure we'll be getting on just fine. Let's have a look at our arch gun. See, arcane wise, what we've got in the arch gun can really help us. A melee build too. So we've got this here. We've got dexterity and we've got fortifier. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. So yeah, fortifier dexterity is kind of what you want. We've got a secondary the overguard here. Well, I think what we'll do though for this case here, we'll put on secondary dexterity as well for more melee damage and combo duration. So let's jump into something where they're a bit tougher. If we go at like Sedna, Selkie, it's always a good gauge of how strong. Because you're probably the tougher enemies, you know, this is kind of our toughest guys to fight.
These are worthy.
Let's see how we get on against these tanky Grineers. Relying just on an electric and Baruch. And we can throw in some of these light slams because the light slams are just so strong. Like we said multiple times in this stream, the light slam AoE's not been nerfed with Baruchs. We just chill back here a sec, get a few kills, get our viral in the goal. Put these assholes to sleep. And we can get our 4 now, and now we're golden. periodically cast the 2 and 3 every maybe 30 seconds, and you should always remain in your 4 without much effort. And look at that, we're proccing electric corrosive, and nothing's going to survive this. Literally nothing. Look at the ticks. We can see some of the ticks. You know, they kind of die before we can witness the levels of damage we're doing. No, this light slams are so busted. Look at them. No nerf to the AoE. Still a full slam radius. So you don't even need to invest in slam, and you can slam with Baruch.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
You can kind of just jump about and constant spam this slam like this. You know, we don't even need to rely on heavy attacks with Baruch because their damage is so astronomically high that everything will die before we get the chance to really use them. See what I mean? Like, you charge up that heavy attack and then you lose the chance to use it because everything's died from the dots.
Life support on the way.
Yeah, literally everything dies before dots can proc. But then when you're at level cap, you notice that the influence, corrosive, viral, everything's spread around the whole room and ticking for massive damage. Because they can actually survive the upfront hit from Baruch, but they can't survive the dot damage. Or the wave of multiple hits hitting them at once.
Additional life support has
It's kind of hard to calculate exactly how much damage he does because, everything dies so easily. 209k there, I guarantee it's more than that because you're not really seeing everything else going on behind the scenes. And that's the same with afflictions. You couldn't really count how much damage they were getting because they were dying before the 10 procs could even affect them. If we go, say we go and put heat on Baruch and then we do an afflictions build, whatever they're weak to will get proc 10 times and heat will get proc 10 times. So that might be one to actually test in a minute and see how much damage we do with no elemental investment in it. Now look at this against this dude here, he's going to die so easily. Where is he? There he is. Look at that. If influence ticked there, he would have died quicker. But obviously he got weak to the corrosive and that's what ticked in him and killed him there, the corrosive direct damage hits. Because we've got such a big AoE as well, that influence procs are so big. It's kind of, everybody's dead though, you know what I mean? Like, we're killing so fast we can't get big clusters of people to see how much damage we really do with our influence. And their survivability is just off the fucking wall, between the Hound giving us constant overguard and us putting the whole room asleep, or they're dead before they can even get a chance to shoot at us. It's just a really easy frame to take the level cap. I fucking hate this room. Absolutely hate it. Fucking terrible tiny little shit walkway. And then the Hound can do shit like that as well, it's just ridiculous. So we'll go into the sim and try out a few different things. We'll try like a raw afflictions with no actual elements modded on it, because Baruch can proc all the elements we'll ever need. Then we could go straight into just more utility without having to put any elemental mods in it, which is nice. So if you want to get a frame that can handle level cap very easily, handle all content in the game, trivialize survivability, and massive damage. Definitely try out Baruch. So we'll jump into the simulacrum and toy around with just the raw afflictions, no elements, and just rely on reactive storm proccing, the elements for us, which is going to be quite funny. Well, we could go pure heat and then have reactive storm proc corrosive when needed, and have reactive storm proc toxin when needed. We could just go heat viral afflictions, proc 10 fucking heat dots on these enemies. And then, we could actually, funny enough, put the heat mod on Baruch. We could put the vitality mod on Baruch and then do it that way, like this. So if we go like this is going to be quite crazy, I think. So if we were to go afflictions here, drop that, make this heat. Then we go to Baruch here and we drop, say, precision intensify, and we put in, and we put in this. This will mean that we'll double the damage from the heat. Then we've got arcane strike, blah blah. This is going to be pretty funny, I think. So if we take off our hang, because he's just going to kill everything straight away, we're double. So now we're going to do a lot of heat damage because we've got melee elementalist, we've got Archon, vitality. I think we're going to do really good damage like this.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
Now we should get the heat afflictions dots on them straight away. Heat afflictions. Once they get lifted, they'll get that heat on them. And look at the damage from the heat. Just ludicrous. Is that 18 million or something? They die kind of before anything though. But now if we lift them dudes up. 1.6 million heat dot there. So let's get these guys in. Vital. So now we do vital, 10 stacks of vital and heat on top of corrosive, 10 stacks. And then we'll double dip, triple dip maybe on the heat. If we stand back here now, we should be able to lift them all. I mean, maybe these guys are immune to lift, are they? Oh no, they got lifted. That was 3.7 million. They're burnt to death kind of instantly. I want to see them lifted though. That's the problem. So yeah, obscene damage, just utterly obscene damage. So that's definitely a way to run it if you wanted to. You could go invest in that completely. Look at that lifted damage. 5 million heat. Yeah, nothing sillier than that. All the way level up. So we're now going to lift heat. Lift heat procs and proc viral and whatever else they're weak to now. So if we, pull in this dude here. Now we'll lift them up.
Stay focused. There's a heavy unit approaching.
You can't kind of see what that heats are ticking because they die so easily. The upfront damage. Yeah, they die too quick to us to actually gauge how much heat damage they're getting done to them. 12 million. Just utterly off the wall damage. 6 million. So definitely this is a great way to do it. So we can, you know, proc 10 stacks of heat with afflictions, 10 stacks of viral, 10 stacks of corrosive at the same time. And then, you know, what is it? Archon Vitality to double the heat procs. And then, where is it? Melee Elementalist to double the heat procs again. So that's why we're hitting 12 million lifted damage on these guys, which is just completely busted overkill. It's really not needed. Is it better than Influence? I don't know. Once we lift these guys, we'll see the damage it does. So some lifted up. Look at that already. We're not stacked combo yet. So lift them up. You know, they're dying before we get the chance to lift them. That's the thing here, though. So we can't really gauge the damage properly. But then, 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of vital, 10 stacks of heat. There we go. He's lifted 13 million. So they die before we can really lift them. That's our issue here. If I can try and go back here to lift him. Apply heat to one of them and then see the dots. But you know, they're dead before we even fucking see the lifted damage. That's how much we're doing. So this would be definitely killing level cap people because we're seeing dots of 12 million when the heat goes on them. So if I, you know, make myself invincible, spawn more enemies to try and do this a bit better, and then we could be able to maybe now we can maybe get our restraint down quicker and lift these enemies and see just how much damage we're doing a bit better. Try and lift these people here. Anybody lifted yet? A few of them are lifted. Almost getting built up. So what was that, 7 million? And we're doing 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of heat, 10 stacks of vital. Get their enemies in, then we can hopefully try and lift them now. So that heat dots were what? Too kind of high account. $2.8 million. 4.2 million. That's the problem. They die before we lift them to really gauge how much heat damage we're doing here. He got lifted there. What was that? 25 million? 11 million? Yeah, ridiculous levels of damage. So even our 2 stacks of heat on these guys is enough to kill them, but when we lift them, that's when we get into the millions of dots. Now, I don't know, does afflictions apply to Demolists? Because if it does, we could try that. So we can't use afflictions and demolists. That's one problem, but we could definitely rely on the heat procs probably enough to kill them. And look at that already. The levels of damage are just fucking brutal. Ticking for millions. Oh, let's see if we can lift the these dudes here. Might be able to lift them actually. Yeah, look at the dots. Now these are level cap worthy enemies. These have got the same health, I believe, as a heavy gunner. So 9.7 million that was. 6.7 million. Now, if we toy around with this now, let's say we do this now. Let's say we go back to blast and we can see how much the blast dots do now. So, what could we lose here? We could drop. We could drop that. Get our cold in now. Now we can see how much damage we do with our blast dots now, and we could drop the vitality here and put in precision intensify. Now the blast dots, we'll see how much they're ticking for now. Now the heat dots were multiple millions, enough to kill level cap enemies. Well, the heat dots, the most heat dot I've seen there was 12 million. Now blast blast is now being applied through afflictions properly calculated. It wasn't before. So we'll see how much our blast can do now when we lift these enemies. So we kind of die again before we can see the tick. We'll spawn in some more again. We can lift them up and see the tick of blast now. So 3.2 million. So the blast procs are decent. But I think we're better to just go, if you're going to go afflictions, go pure heat. And then allow reactive storm to take care of the elements they're weak to. And that's the way to run Baruch with afflictions. Unfortunately, the blast doesn't seem to be as good as it was with the heat. Now with slam though, because his light slams haven't been nerfed. You know, his light slam radius hasn't been nerfed, unlike the other characters. So they took nine blast procs there. So you're actually ironically better to light slam a Baruch than the heavy slams. Now if I spawn in these dudes here and we do a slam on them now. So definitely blast isn't the way to go on Baruch, I don't think. Yeah, I definitely think we want to stay heat afflictions on Baruch. So if we jumped up and heavy slammed, just really not the best damage. Now the heat was just fucking busted. The heat dots were millions and millions. So I'll drop that and then we'll go, you know, for fun, let's just put the slam mod in and see how we get on. This wouldn't be the way we're going to run him in the end, though. But let's just see how we do with Heat Blast, and then we go Argon Intensify, double these heat procs. And then we can go back down here and say, where's our Elementalist mod? Let's drop this just because we'll be slamming. And we'll put in our melee Elementalist. And we'll see how we get on now with just raw heat damage of slams with Baruch's 4, which is probably going to tick into the millions. Even on a light slam, I reckon. There we go, light slam. Get a combo built up. Yeah, into the millions. Get a combo back. Get these dudes in here, unpause, oops, unpause them, then we'll get a lot more enemies to spawn. Get our restraint down quicker, and we'll see the true damage of afflictions with the heat. Look at the heat dots already. Look at the radius we've got on a light slam. So that's what makes it not even worse. Heavy slamming with Baruch. Because if we can do this much damage without investing in any slam mods, what's the point in building him for slam when you can just, kill everything with light attacks and then slam with a light slam if you want to. And save one mod slot, not needing Seismic Wave. Now if we spawn these dudes in here and we do heavy slam, let's see what we do. Now, already that was a terrible size. Look at the AoE, it's reduced a lot. You're better to just, watch the light slam. The AoE in that's much better. And the heat dots are crazy. So a light slam on Baruch's the way to go, because we don't get the neutered slam radius. And the heat dots from afflictions on it is just off the fucking wall damage. So we'll drop the slam mod because we do not need it at all, and then we'll put in, what else were we going to have in here instead? Bone Impact, Blood Rush, blah blah blah. It was Prime Fury. So now if we look at this with just afflictions, double dipping in the heat there, and then triple dipping the heat here. So now once we get this all put together, look at the heat dots. Heat dots into like 15 million, 12 million ticks. Get a restraint down. Now once we get some combo built up and we get some enemies lifted, look at the heat dots. So they're lifted. 2.9 million, no combo built up. They're not even lifted, and look at the damage. We're triple dipping that heat dots. 5.1 million. We can't even gauge these heat dots because they die before we even get to lift them. Look at that, 2 million. Now I've seen them up at what, like 10, 15, 20 million. And also we're applying 10 stacks of corrosive at the same time. These dots are just bonkers. Look at that, the game actually slowed down there from the amount of damage I had to calculate. He's lifted up. What was his dots? Died too quick to even gauge it. $1 million. Heat dots of 7.6 million that heat dot was. So, Baruch doesn't need influence for the AoE. I don't know what that heat dot was, but it was multiple millions again. 2.6 million. So nothing's surviving this. 10 stacks of idle, 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of heat. And then, if it's Corpus, it's going to be the same, but Toxin built in. 12 million. 4 million. 4.2 million. Now if we apply viral to the whole room too, and afflictions is going to spread all status effects this hound puts on enemies too, on top of giving us overguard. This is when things get really nigh. You know, this is when, you know, you realise just how good Baruch is. So if we make our dog invulnerable too, we'll get our restraint down. Now we'll gauge our survivability in a minute as well by unpausing these guys. So the hound's going to, you know, put all these status effects in them, and then when we hit them with afflictions, all these status effects will spread around the room and be applied 10 times. Now we're going to have 10 stacks of viral on all these enemies as well. We're lifting them up. And look at that. So the dots go into multiple millions. So heat afflictions is the best way to run him, I think. If you're going to run him just pure affliction build. 3 million. Look at them lifted up and everything's dead. All the status effects just go crazy. If we light slam, all the status effects are going to touch around the whole room as well. But it's mostly heat we care about in this build here. They're going to die really before the hound can kill them anyway. We just can't really see the dot damage because it's so high. And if we're getting these overguarded guys, the minute one lifts, that should just kill the lot of them. Yeah, look at that. Now if we unpause, and if we stop making me invincible, we'll look at our survivability now. Still not going to be an issue because the hound will give us overguard, and then, you know, you just occasionally fire that. And you can shield gate back quite easily too. The hound killed everybody for us. Gave us a Evo overguard too. Now we proc afflictions on one person and then the whole room will explode. I'll just get taxied around everywhere. I haven't even relied on one heavy attack yet because, you know, he just does so much damage, there's no need. Now, when we got it primed up, condition overload's going to be even stronger too. So look at that. Now, if we jump into a mission with a pure heat build, we'll see how we get on with it. I'm confident that we're going to just chew through anything in our way at all. Anything at all. So, pure heat afflictions, dots of 10 million plus. Let's see how we get on. 10 stacks of idle, 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of heat. And then obviously whatever elements that the hound applies as well, we're going to be getting 10 stacks of that on every lift as well. So we may maybe be able to gauge our heat dots a bit better now, if everything doesn't just die from the first light attack. So at a level cap, we would really get to see how much damage we start to do. So I'll take this to level cap soon. Maybe if a Fisher appears soon, or I'll take it later on today, and we'll see really how much damage we can get this thing to take at level cap. Once we just get the ball rolling. So put these enemies to sleep. Hound's killed everybody though, as usual. As soon as we get a quarter of our restraint down, we can go in, and now we can start to make it happen. Now we won't be able to gauge the heat dots because everybody's going to die just so quickly and easily. If we can see some lifted enemies, we can see how much the dots of heat are going to be. Hard to not just kill them instantly. Problem. They all die from the first light attack. The heat damage is just so high.
Ready for a capsule.
Plus they're taking 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of viral as well. It's kind of impossible to gauge how much damage they're taking. He died before we even, can see how much the procs are. Even the light hit slams are killing them. When they're lifted, look at that, dots of millions. I know the third attack from this will lift people, but the problem is it's going to kill them before we can even gauge this dots. So maybe if we go over here, light attack, and get our third hit without killing. Fuck's sake. It's just too hard to gauge how much damage we're doing. In the sim we've seen ticks of like 10 million. I just want to see somebody survive so I can gauge the dot. Come on. Anyway, it's enough damage to kill level cap and some. It's actually too much damage technically. He got lifted, but we didn't apply heat there. So they're getting lifted, but can't really see the dots again. Well, we'll have to save this for a level cap then, and actually we will gauge the heat dots then. And that's what we're going to have to do. So that was going to call it for a day. Be back later on. I've got stuff to do with my daughter. So I'll love yous and leave yous for anybody that watches this. We'll come back, we'll test the afflictions, but we can level cap later on. I'm not confident that he's going to hit multiple millions when he lifts enemies. Like we've seen him lift in the simulacrum. I just wish we could see it in real time here. We can see that killing is not an issue with just a heat afflictions Baruch. Everything dies. 10 stacks of corrosive, 10 stacks of vital, 10 stacks of heat. Then obviously if it's... Oh, maybe we can lift this guy. Where is he? Oh, I killed him. The dots killed him. Look at that heat dot on him. That killed him too. So before we even lift enemies, our upfront damage is so high, they often just die from that. $55 million, cool $55 million. So yeah, our dots are just insane. So I'll love yous and leave yous guys. Thank you very much for anybody that watched and anybody that cared. So again, your Baruch, I'm going to do a level cap tonight with him, I think, with a pure heat afflictions build like this, and we'll see just how good it is. The influence Baruch destroys level cap, so I'm sure the afflictions one will do just as good, maybe even better, because the dots will be so high. Cheers.